Phil, is it alright if I sit? Is that cool? Div, I hope you like it. Can you hear me?
Yep.
When I first met Bradley, he was up to his elbows in dirt, with a 3-foot crowbar in his hand. I was caught off guard when I was walking down Division Street and found he and 4 others pulling up the sidewalk squares. They were peeling and curling back like an orange peel, which was unusual because they were, well, cement. They were wearing fluorescent vests and didn't seem like construction or city workers, so I asked what they were doing. They said they were trying to show people God. Having been immediately intrigued by this concept, I jotted down Bradley's number on the back of a business card. He told me they were with the New Revealers Collective, and Bradley gave me a postcard sized piece of paper with a list of some sort on it. I was in a rush to get to work, so I stuffed it in my bag and forgot about it until I got home that night. It looked like it was written on a typewriter, and in big bold letters at the top it read, "How to effectively transform your past into a path to essence." 1. If your mother is a sentimental type, call home and ask for the boxes in her basement of the homework and birthday cards from your elementary school years. 2. If you don't have a blender, buy one. Put 15 pages of your materials into the blender, 1 page at a time until you have dust. Mix equal parts Elmer's glue and water. Stick it in the blender and press the button again. Let the mixture sit and thicken until it becomes a malleable paste. 3. Sculpt the paste into a knife. It's okay if you cannot get it to stay sharp until it dries. When it dries, use a file to sharpen the tip and edges of the blade. 4. Prepare a room in your house. Do this by removing all of its furniture and decorations. Paint the walls a deep red. Buy the largest mirror you can find and fasten it to your ceiling. 5. Lie in the middle of the floor of this room. Knife at your side. Stare up at the ceiling mirror and observe your body in its entirety. 6. Follow your breath deeply. Listen to it till your skin begins to vibrate and your vision blurs. Grab the knife from your side with both hands on the handle, point it to the dimple in your solar plexus. 7. Say in a loud, clear voice, "This is not who I am." Take a deep belly breath and lightly puncture the skin with the knife. If you have accurately completed the above steps, the skin on your chest will open up and blossom like a fleshy orchid. It will spread vines and cover the entire red room green. Watch the sparks fly and enjoy the essence you have found. I called Bradley immediately. There was no ringing on the other end. I just went straight to a message. The voice was giving directions to what sounded like a meeting for the collective. The following Tuesday, I found myself at a large red metal door to what appeared to be an old warehouse in the industrial corridor. I was running 45 minutes late, so I closed the door behind me and followed the sounds of the voices on the other end of the warehouse. There were at least 40 people crowding around Bradley, who looked like a Southern Baptist reverend on a soapbox, shouting passionately, because there aren't enough breaths in the lives of the average to make waste of any, because the hearts inside the ghosts we have become are beating harder than ever, and because the nerves of this world only work when they are exposed at their ends. There were loud cheers following each of his proclamations. So is everyone clear on their places tomorrow? I sure as fuck wasn't. The crowd appeared ready, however, and their faces were confident. Their eyes looked comfortable in their sockets and were glowing with warmth. Well then let tomorrow combust, friends. Let our feet move with mountain fury and skies scrape in dignity. Let the streets roll under them fluid as we chase away the demons of then and soon. He kept going on like this. His voice cut clear through the voices of the crowd's admiration. After he was finished reading into my confusion, he invited me to a corner of the warehouse, in which there were piles of seemingly random objects and ropes. I'm missing a page. Anyway, it's going to turn into like a real sounding story now.
Yeah!
He gave me a vague explanation. It sounded more like an inspirational book than anything else to me. I wasn't really sure what was going on, but I started to sweat when he showed me how to put on a harness. At 12 p.m. tomorrow, bomb threats will be called simultaneously into every building bordering Daily Plaza, he told me. Be there at 11:45. Meet me in the plaza. I think you're ready. No, I wasn't ready. On the bus I was debating, I was going back and forth in my head, I was going crazy. But somehow at 11:44 the following morning I found myself in Daily Plaza, scanning it for Bradley. I couldn't stop my left hand from shaking. I saw two people I recognized from the warehouse. They were walking into a corporate building with backpacks on. I felt a warm hand on my shoulder. I turned around and it was Bradley. "Let's go," he said. So we walked into a corporate building across the street, confidently past the guards, into the elevator. I watched the numbers grow, and I still couldn't stop my left hand from shaking. We got to the 38th floor. He walked to the window and bumped it twice with his fist, as if he had been there before, and it jarred open. "Careful here," he said, as we crawled up the fire escape onto the roof. There wasn't much wind that day. Everything stood surprisingly still. In fact, I felt overcome by a sense of security. We were on the roof of a skyscraper in the Loop. It instantly felt mystical, perhaps so unreal it wouldn't be honest of me to be in fear. The alarm sounded. The bomb threats had been made. Under the screaming sirens, I looked over at Bradley, who was setting up ropes on both sides of what looked like an enormous roll of thick cloth. We looked over the edge of the building to Daly Plaza, which was flooding with concerned businessmen and women. There were schools of ants congregating by the thousands, all of them on their cell phones calling their families and coworkers. "Now when I shout to you," he said, "about 20 stories from the ground, I want you to pull this second lever to release the roll." Everything was vivid and I felt calm. Bradley went to the other side of the roll and locked into the rope. I looked over the edge of the massive space which lay beneath us. There must have been 10,000 people in Daly Plaza. I threw my leg over the edge and made the rope taut, then pushed the building with my foot to put my weight on the rope. I looked over at Bradley, then over at the other buildings. There were people doing the same thing from the roofs of every building bordering the plaza. "Go," he shouted. I pulled the lever and began dropping. Every 10 feet, I pushed away from the building with my legs, trying to keep the same pace as Bradley. We were picking up speed quickly, but everything seemed to be moving slower. The chaos of the plaza beneath us became quiet to me. Though I knew there were thousands of eyes on us, all I could hear was the wind and the sound of the rope. We were bringing the giant roll of cloth with us, each of us at its ends. About 20 stories from the ground, Bradley yelled at me and I pulled the second lever. The roll of cloth began to unfurl and drop with us. I couldn't tell what was on the banner until I looked across the plaza and saw the other ones opening up. At that precise moment, my chest began to grow larger than it had ever been. My pupils grew to the size of nickels and my blood ran warmly because I realized what we were doing. Everything became clear. We were unrolling mirrors over Daly Plaza. I sunk into the noise. The chaos of the scene engulfed me completely. The ground was approaching quickly and it was covered by human beings, staring at thousands of telescoping reflections of themselves. The ground came up and pushed my feet into my knees. I stood up with vertigo and walked my way through the awe-stricken people to find Bradley. He was sitting calmly at the bottom of his rope. I stumbled up and sat beside him, leaning against the wall. In a crackling and breathy voice, I spoke over the crowd. "I get it, Bradley. We're trying to show people God." Thank you.